You're watching Hot Wok Academy. My name is Mingjin Tong. Today we are making my daughter's, and that's plural, my daughter's favorite vegetable, baby bok choy. Get your ingredients and let's cook. All right, quick overview of our ingredients. So simple. We've just got salt, garlic, canola oil, and of course our bok choy. Now, in the Chinese kitchen, a very important part of Chinese cooking culture is actually washing vegetables. So it's something that we do a lot and we do a lot of. So here's what we've got. The baby bok choy, it actually is very dirty. And you'll see there's so many layers to each bok choy leaf or each bok choy stalk. And so what you want to do is you want to soak your bok choy. Soak it for at least 20 minutes. If you have an hour, soak it for an hour. What's going to happen is that because this is a plant and this is the root part, the plant will actually become revived when you soak it in that cold water. And the water being on the inside is fantastic. It makes for such a nice, crispy product when you're done. And of course, you're not going to make a great meal if you don't start with great ingredients. So look for the freshest bok choy that you can buy, all right? So for each one of these, after you soak it, what you want to do is you really want to agitate it. I'm not going to agitate too much because I'm going to make a big mess. But in my sink, I like to really agitate. You can see it coming out already. But what I like to do is I really like to agitate it really hard. And what's going to happen is you're going to break up the dirt that's been soaking off there, okay? So really agitate that. And pour it out. And we're going to just do that one more time. For your vegetables, you always got to soak them. Soaking is a lot better than just rinsing. Soaking breaks that dirt, agitation moves it around, and then you're able now to really get that clean. Don't be afraid to be rough with it. It can take it. All right, after this, you want to pour that out. Now, we've said before many times, when you're stir frying, water is the enemy of Wok Hei, okay? If you want to have a great product, you're actually gonna need to dry it as well. So first step after this, let's go ahead and let's check to see how well we've done with cleaning. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut this right in half, and I'll cut it in half again. All right, same thing over here. And from here, I'm actually just gonna open one up to see, and you could see it's perfectly white now on the inside of the bok choy. The dirt is gonna be right here between the leaves. That's what you wanna wash out. So these look good to go. I'm gonna set these over here in my to-be dried bowl, and I'll keep chopping these up. Same thing, you could just cut it right down the center, give it a half turn, and go right down the center again. And let's go ahead and do that for all of them. Sometimes you get these ones that are really, really wilted. You know, I don't want to waste it. I'm going to eat it. You don't have to eat it anyways. But at home, you may want to just make sure that when you get your vegetables, don't get the wilted ones. Make sure they're nice and crispy to start with. You're not going to have a crispy product if you don't start with a crispy product. If they're smaller, you don't need to do 2 cuts all the way through. You could just do 1 cut for cutting it in half. Or even if there's a loose leaf, just throw that in, you're ready to go. This is a smaller one, just gonna do 1 cut there. These are all loose. Now, sometimes when we stir fry, we actually separate the stalk from the leaf. In this case, we're not going to do that because the stalks, first of all, they're so small, you don't really need to do that. If you're wondering, can I do the same recipe with regular bok choy? The answer is yes, of course you can. But the baby bok choy is such a better product. It's sweeter, and the leaf to stalk ratio is a lot better than the large one. So if you're able to, find the small one. It's just a lot better product to work with. Okay, so the next thing I want to do I wanna make sure that my bowl is just perfectly dry so that I don't add any moisture to my wok. Moisture control when you stir fry vegetables is key. If you want that Wok Hei in your vegetable, you must dry your product all the way through, okay? So here's a little technique that we're gonna do. We're just gonna lay our towel out. This is a perfectly dry towel, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour my all my product on there. I wanna spread that out as much as I can to get as much surface area as I can. If you have a vegetable spinner or a salad spinner, just use that, okay? This is my non-salad spinner way of doing it. I'm just gonna put my vegetables here, and I'm gonna go ahead and roll it. But I'm trying to create as much contact between my towel and my vegetable product as possible. And I don't wanna push hard, but I do wanna kinda give it a shake, agitate it. Now what's happening is that those water droplets are gonna be absorbed now by the towel to give me a more dry product, okay? So that's not absolutely dry. We're gonna do that. You could do it a few times, but for us today, that's gonna be enough. That has dried significantly. If you can see that, these leaves are a lot drier now. I'll put them back into my dry bowl. And we are ready to do our garlic. Let's go ahead and take care of that real quick. All right, for our garlic, all you need to do is, let's use about 4 cloves here. Let's go ahead and just separate them out. We'll take the broad side of our knives, just give it a squish. You don't want to cut your garlic too small because they have to sit in the oil. So just about that size is really all you need. Okay, we're all ready. The bok choy is ready, the garlic's ready. Let's go over and stir fry. Okay, once your prep is done, you wanna come over to your wok station. I have here a 14-inch carbon steel wok, and what I'm gonna do is let's start it on a low heat. So we started on low heat because raw garlic loves to burn. We don't wanna let it burn. And at this point, we're gonna heat our wok up and we're gonna add our oil. This is canola oil, which has a high smoke point. Let's go ahead and add about that much, maybe a little bit more. Now the oil, keep this in mind, has at least 3 functions. Number 1, oil causes the food to move around, so it lubricates, right? Number 2, the oil acts as the conductive agent for the heat. The oil is what's heating up and coating the vegetable, thereby cooking it. And number 3, you'll see in a little bit that the smoke is gonna rise from that oil. When that smoke is rising, it becomes vaporized. And when the vegetable comes into contact with the vapor through the tossing, that's what produces that Wok Hei or the guo qi. It's that the restaurant flavor that you find in Chinese food, okay? So let's go ahead and introduce some of our garlic. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is this. Because I have a limited heat supply, and because these vegetables are at room temperature, about 70 degrees, we cannot put too much product in there at once. It's gonna take all the heat away. So we're gonna do it in 2 batches. So half of our garlic is gonna go in. Woo, a little bit of water in my, in my ladle. All right. Again, what we wanna do here is we want now for the garlic to emit flavor. We call this step 爆香 in Chinese, okay? You don't want to burn your garlic, but you do want to let it become fragrant. I had residual water on my ladle, which is what's causing so much popping. All right, let's go ahead and remove the garlic. We're removing it, but I'm just gonna keep it in my ladle, and I'm gonna go ahead and crank the heat. Now, at this point, I am building up the heat in my wok so that I can actually achieve a wok sear from the baby bok choy when it goes in. So I'm gonna go ahead and stir it around just a little bit. I want the oil to be evenly heated. I'm bringing my oil to a very, very high temperature. I see a couple pieces of garlic in here. I'm gonna see if I can just kind of rescue them. Pull them out. All right, again, I've got a lot of heat here in my wok, And I'm only going to put in about half of my actual product, and you will see a bit of a flame up here because of the superheating of the oil. So let's go ahead and add some of this bok choy. And put my garlic back in. And what I want to do is I really do want to achieve a sear on the outside of the vegetables, which means I need to have prolonged contact between my product and the heat. So I'm not going to touch it a lot. I'm going to let it sit. Let's put a little bit of salt in there, maybe just a touch more. And again, one more time. Now the tossing helps those vegetables to come up into that vapor to create that wok hei. You need a high flame, and you want not too much product in there. Now, what am I looking for when it's done? Remember, it's a vegetable. I can eat it raw. I can eat it at any time. So I'm looking for nice seared pieces. The leaves turn a bright green, as you can see, and I want my vegetable to be cooked through. I still want a crispy center, but I want those leaves to really start to wilt. And look, you can see how it's beginning to actually have the sear on the outside, okay? So we're searing these vegetables. Keep it moving to keep it living in that vapor. And we are pretty much done. Look at this beautiful sear that I've got here on these vegetables. And the leaves are nice and wilted. They're still crispy. Let's go ahead and say that that's finished. Let's do it one more time. I've got so much heat in the pan, I don't even need to turn my fire on. I'm gonna go ahead and add my oil. Let's go ahead and put our garlic in. Let that sizzle. And I'll get a little bit of heat going. Again, low heat. I don't want to burn my garlic. I'm going to help it along by crushing it. We want to take the time to develop the flavors. Don't rush through your cooking. All right, this garlic looks nice and browned, which means my oil's got a lot of flavor. And again, we're going to keep that in the ladle. Let's crank the heat all the way up high. And one more time, what we're doing now is we're going to be developing heat in our wok. If we don't put heat in the wok now, there's no chance to do it later. You saw how quickly the vegetables absorb that heat. So what we're going to do here, let's go ahead and get that moving. We want our wok to be evenly coated. We want high heat in the wok. Let's go ahead and find out what the temperature is. So here's our infrared gun. And in the wok right now, I've got 643 degrees, 675, 700 degrees. All right. When your wok is nice and hot, let's go ahead and put the rest of our vegetables in. Again, let it sit. It's not going to go bad. Don't worry about it. We'll put our garlic back in. And let's give that a toss. A little bit of salt. And I can just tell by the way it's moving, I actually don't have enough oil in there. So I'm going to add just a little bit of oil to get it moving. And let it sit. You can see here there's some great sear pieces. Let me actually pick this up and show you. That's a wonderful, beautiful sear that you want. You can only achieve that if you don't have any liquid on the outside of your vegetable. But that piece is going to be delicious. Again, let it sit. You're looking for the leaves to be bright green and a little bit wilted. And you're looking for that great sear on the outside of this vegetable. Keep it moving to keep that wok hei moving or attached to your food. And look at that. We've got some beautiful sear going on from that high heat. So let's let go just for another minute. A little bit less probably. You don't really even need to move it with your ladle because tossing it is really all the movement it needs. So we need a combination of leaving it still and tossing it. Leave it still to get the sear, toss it to get the Wok Hei. All right, that's looking really good to me. Let's go ahead and cut our heat and let's plate that. All right. There you have the Wok Seared baby bok choy. I hope you try this. Let us know what you think in the comments. And I hope you're able to achieve that sear at home. Take your time, concentrate on getting that high heat, and learn to toss that wok. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.